We're coming to you live from our Auckland Park studios. This is Prime News on SABC 3. Here are the top stories making headlines.
We have discussed this thing internally, but there's been arrogance. That's the bottom line. We can't accept our arrogance or to be bullied. No one can bully us.
The South African Communist Party Central Committee has resolved to continue and contest next year's local government elections.
We are confident that the process will continue. We are concerned about the delays, but I'm sure they will be sorted out.
Deputy President Paul Mashatile has expressed his concern over delays in the start of the Matlanga Commission.
And consequently, I cannot discharge my learned colleague of number 4.
And the High Court in Pretoria has thrown out Mthokoziseni Mapisa's bid to have the charges against him dropped in the Meyiwa murder trial. It's a touch just after 8 o'clock. A very good evening to you, Mzansi. This is Prime News on 3. I am Paulette Nell. Great to have you with us this evening. Let's get into it. We begin this bulletin this evening with this. The South African Communist Party Central Committee has resolved to continue and contest next year's local government elections. ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula has warned that they can no longer share the election strategy with the SACP. Dual membership has also been raised by the ANC, which is going to be a problem for those who are on the ballot paper contesting for the SACP.
We have discussed this thing internally, but there's been arrogance. That's the bottom line. We can't accept our arrogance or to be bullied. No one can bully us. Not even the apartheid regime that tried to bully us. No one.
ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula has described the SACP's decision to contest elections independently as the most disastrous decision for the alliance. The two historical allies are having strained relations following the SACP's resolution to go it alone at the polls. Mbalula says, seeing that the SACP is determined on its stance, they have no choice but to decide on their next course of action.
We are engaged with the question of the Communist Party. We have reflected at the theoretical level what are the implications of this disastrous and monumental disastrous decision of the party for the alliance. We have reflected on that. And we have said as the ANC, we are against that. But it looks like there's no turning back.
SACP General Secretary Solema Paila has warned against selective amnesia of certain ANC leaders who accuse the SACP of being opportunists.
You have never asked any other organization to denounce its own Congress decision. We have never asked the ANC to drop its National Conference decision, even those we do not agree with. There are men that we do not agree with, that are purely neoliberal. But we've said, let's work on areas where we agree. What is wrong with us when we take our own independent decisions? We are an independent organization.
The ANC has offered the SACP quotas on the party's deployment list in the upcoming local elections in order to share power in the reconfiguration of the alliance. Samkele Masego, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Mbalula also says that the ANC is to update the nation on the possible expansion of the GNU. This follows its earlier statement that it wants to engage with parties outside the GNU with the possibility of expanding the 10-party pact. The current political arrangement governing the country has seen its fair share of difficulties, most notably not being able to reach a consensus on the 2025 budget, with the ANC having to reach out to parties on the opposition benches to be able to get the budget through in Parliament.
Over a year ago, the GNU has struggled to find consensus, most notably on the 2025 budget. The ANC had reached out to the opposition parties to ensure its passage, and now a shake-up may be on the cards.
We will engage about the GNU in the next 2-3 weeks, resetting the pattern, work with all political parties in the GNU, and going forward to ensure that the GNU becomes stronger. But most importantly, the ANC must be strong.
With the possibility of an expansion on the horizon, some current GNU members have voiced concern. The DA in particular has warned that expansion could complicate governance.
This has to be done in consultation with the parties that are currently in the GNU, and such a decision will be based on the sufficient consensus clause within that particular statement of intent.
Although united in their effort to pass a third budget proposal earlier this year, some parties on the outside have reacted to the possibility of an expansion.
I think we made it clear on two occasions to the ANC. Immediately after the elections, actually they sent someone senior at my house to come and talk to me. And I made it really very clear that, look, you've got 70% of parliament. What do you want us for? To neutralize us. I said, please leave us out.
I'm not going to be invited into a fight between the ANC and the DA. In our engagement, we are going to engage on the basis of the following: that the composition cannot just bloat the cabinet.
Zara Groenewald, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Paul Mashatile has expressed his concern over delays in the start of the Madlanga Commission. The commission was established by President Cyril Ramaphosa after allegations made by KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi about political interference and corruption in the law enforcement.
There's been a public outcry over the delay in the Madlanga Commission that was supposed to kick off on Monday. The procurement of important infrastructure is said to be at the heart of the postponement. The country's second-in-command says he is concerned over the delays but believes all will be back on track soon.
We are confident that the process will continue. We are concerned about the delays, but I'm sure they will be sorted out. They needed to make proper arrangements for venues and so on, but that process will proceed.
Meanwhile, Mashatile joined friends, family and comrades in mourning the passing of the late former Gauteng MEC of Local Government and Human Settlements, Uhuru Meyiwa. Mashatile and Meyiwa once served together in COSAS as well as the UDF.
He has worked hard for his people. We will continue on his footsteps of serving our people and ensure that we bring about a better life.
Generations that came after him also shared their memories of Meyiwa and the life lessons they learned from him.
We are saddened by the passing of Comrade Uhuru. Comrade Uhuru will have played a role in terms of rebuilding the ANC in our own region. He's a hero to most of us. We lost a person that will always give us wisdom when we are faced with a number of challenges.
As we see the life of Comrade Uhuru, I think we must take courage from it as the younger generation who are leading the ANC Youth League now in the ANC, that we must be selfless and serve the people of South Africa.
Meyiwa will be laid to rest on Saturday in the northwest. Natasha Piri, SABC News, Johannesburg.
The High Court in Pretoria has ruled that there is prima facie evidence that accused number 4 in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial, Mthokoziseni Mapisa, should answer to. This after Judge Ratha threw out Mapisa's bid to have the charges against him dropped. Mapisa is the only one of the 5 accused who brought a discharge application, arguing that the state had failed to prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt.
Blow for accused number 4, Mthokoziseni Mapisa, whose lawyer argued that the state's star witness, Constable Sizwe Zungu's testimony could not be relied on because it was riddled with contradictions and no witnesses were called to corroborate his testimony. But Judge Ratha disagrees.
Mr. Nomalo says in his heads of argument, for instance, 14.12, in respect of the factual evidence of Zungu's evidence, the contradictions are material and affect his credibility. Assuming the learned counsel is correct, is he prepared to say, therefore, his evidence amounts to nothing? Nothing. Nothing. He never went to the Basotho hostel. He never saw accused number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He never went with accused number 4 and 5 towards Tops to buy alcohol. He never went and took photographs. They say it's near some building, let's say, or whatever. And there are photographs to that effect. We all saw them. And he says, yes, I didn't know who's taking the photographs. But it was put to him that, hey, the name of the guy who's taking the photograph is so-and-so. And he was there. And he was the driver of that red motor vehicle. So factually, that evidence, it has got corroboration.
While the case has been postponed to September the 22nd for the defence to indicate its readiness to call witnesses. Crisalda Lewis, SABC News at the High Court in Pretoria.
Welcome back. Let's shift our focus to this now. Schooling ground to a halt and one learner got injured at Tielani Secondary School in Soshanguve, that's north of Pretoria. This after learners went on a rampage angered by the alleged sexual assault of a learner by a teacher and reports of an inappropriate relationship between a bus driver and another learner. The learners allegedly blockaded roads and disrupted learning activities at neighboring schools as part of venting their anger.
Understand that learners went on a protest which led to damage to property, and sadly one learner got injured, and the learner was then transferred to a medical facility for attention. The allegation is that an educator sexually assaulted a girl learner at Tielani Secondary School. We have since launched our investigation because it is alleged that the principal did nothing when this was reported to the school. The deputy principal will then assist with the day-to-day running of the school, while the principal will be reporting at the district office. We just wish to call for calm and make sure that learners go back to school. At least the grade 12 learners managed to write their prelim today without any hindrance. And we continue with the process of those examinations. And we call for calm, and learners must be assured that we are investigating the circumstances surrounding this incident.
In other news, there have been calls for urgent reform of the electricity sector as consumers face steep price increases from next year. This comes after the National Energy Regulator of South Africa reached an out-of-court settlement with Eskom, which will see the utility recoup 54 billion rand. This was for an error in calculating Eskom's revenue for the current and next 2 financial years.
About whether NERSA is truly acting in the public interest after its costly electricity tariff mistake, which will ultimately be passed on to consumers. Energy analyst Chris Yelland says a constant raising of electricity prices is undermining the competitiveness of businesses and industry.
Recently, ArcelorMittal going to the regulator and asking for a special pricing arrangement because it can't afford the price of electricity. This has happened also in the case of South 32, the aluminium smelters. It's happened in the case of other smelters like silicon smelters and other metal smelters in South Africa.
As a result of the settlement, consumers can brace for an 8.7% hike next year instead of the 5.3% increase announced in January. For the 2027 to 2028 financial year, tariffs will increase by 8.8% instead of 6.1%.
It's one hell of a mistake, a 54 billion rand mistake. And I must tell you, this is not the first mistake that NERSA has made. In fact, another court judgment on a court order on the in May 2025, very recent court order, found that NERSA had made further mistakes amounting to 40 billion rand.
Black Business Council has raised concerns about the strain higher electricity prices will place on small businesses and called for a swift solution and calls for accountability in light of this expensive mistake. Nosipho Khatebe, SABC News, Johannesburg.
The Department of Social Development and the South African Reserve Bank have assured Parliament that the expiry of the Master Service Agreement between SASSA and Postbank will not negatively affect SASSA beneficiaries in receiving their grant money. The two briefed the Portfolio Committee on Social Development on the impact of the termination of the agreement at the end of this month.
Intervention that we bring, we do not wish for the beneficiaries to be deprived of accessing their benefits. That has been safety, efficiency and whatever, but ensuring that beneficiaries would continue to receive their grants.
Tourism Minister Patricia de Lille is facing tough questions on how she oversees South African tourism. This follows her latest decision to dissolve the South African Tourism Board after it took a decision to suspend the CEO, Nombulelo Kuliwe. The dissolved board has hit back at de Lille, accusing her of selectively applying the law, bypassing the board with a view of personally running South African tourism.
The board acted unlawfully. It exceeded its powers when it took a resolution dated 1st August, in that the very meeting where the impugned resolution was taken did not follow the lawful procedure in terms of Section 18(2) of the Act, the Tourism Act.
Thank you for staying with us. On to this now. Media Institute of Southern Africa Regional Director Dr. Tabani Moyo says journalism ranks among the top 4 professions most affected by crime worldwide. He was speaking at the 2-day M20 summit, which wrapped up in Johannesburg today. The gathering, held alongside the G20 summit, is spotlighting the role of media, the importance of reliable information, and ways to strengthen journalism.
Is one of the forerunners in terms of the crimes that are now being recorded across the continent. As you rightfully know, that we have said journalism is not a crime. It is purely a profession where you are criminalized for doing what you're supposed to be doing. In the case of Zimbabwe, just like any other African country, is a mixed bag of attacks, of the use of lawfare to target journalists, the issue of mobilizing different constituencies of society, including political parties, to lynch on the journalists when they are doing their work. Surprisingly, we are in the 13th year of the UN Action Plan on Safety and Security of Journalists, and not a single country has adopted that framework that goes for location of the perpetrators of the crimes, arresting them and holding them to account, or to mitigate. What we call for then for is to say African countries should bring this UN Action Plan of Action closer home by domesticating it. We have seen cases even worse off in countries like Mozambique, where there is strife in the north with Cabo Delgado, where journalists are shot at while they're doing work.
Now for some soccer news, Bafana Bafana coach Hugo Bruce has adopted the preparations for the upcoming 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers against Lesotho and Nigeria as the most difficult since he was appointed national coach more than 4 years ago.
Orlando Pirates, Sipho Mbule and Stellenbosch FC defender Thabo Maloisane were late call-ups to the national team to replace the injured Ime Okon and Patrick Maswanganyi. Apart from these two, there's a long list of players who are regulars but are not available. Players such as Nkosinathi Sibisi, Thapelo Morena, Themba Zwane and Siphephele Sithole were either left out due to injury or lack of fitness. Bafana coach Hugo Bruce has bemoaned the situation.
I have to say that it's maybe one of the most difficult preparation I've had since I'm coach of Bafana Bafana. We have a lot of injuries, players, important players.
However, Bruce expressed confidence in the quality of the players he has in his team. Orlando Pirates right winger Kamokhelo Sibelebele and Kaizer Chiefs midfielder Mduduzi Shabalala are some of the new faces in the senior men's national football team.
To be where I am now, I think the next step is to work hard and
retain my position in this team?
Obviously, you have to be consistency in what you are doing, and you must keep pushing, work hard.
Meanwhile, Rochas revealed Friday's first qualifier against Lesotho will now be played at the Dr. Molemela Stadium because of the poor pitch condition of the Free State Stadium. Pacing out of SABC News, Dobsonville, Soweto.
Your weather detailer up next, so stay tuned.
Good evening and welcome. Let's take a look at what to expect weather-wise for tonight as well as tomorrow. Clear skies across most parts of the country. However, it will be partly cloudy along the southern coastline, southeastern parts, and in places over KwaZulu-Natal. Now, tomorrow, starting off with early morning fog patches in places over the western, southern, southeastern, as well as the northeastern parts of the country. Those fog patches expected to reduce visibility to less than a kilometer in places. So please do take caution if you are driving early tomorrow morning, and do keep a safe following distance. Otherwise, it will be fine across most parts of the country. Partly cloudy along the southern, southeastern, as well as the eastern coastal regions, stretching into the adjacent interior. There is a forecast for isolated showers and rain along the southern coastline of the Eastern Cape, and then again along the northern coastline of KwaZulu-Natal. South African Weather Service warning of high fire danger conditions in places over the central as well as the eastern interior and stretching through the central regions of the Eastern Cape, and that is where runaway fault fires are possible. So please do take caution in those regions and do not cause any unnecessary fires. Overnight temperatures in Bloemfontein and are down to 8 degrees, 12 in Appington, 9 degrees expected as an overnight low in Cape Town, peaking at 21 tomorrow. It will be a warm day in Komani with 26, warm in Bethlehem with 28, but very hot conditions expected in Lephalale and Musina with 35. 33 is your high in Appington, California, peaking at 26. That's your weather. Just stay tuned to SABC News.
And that concludes our time together this evening. Much gratitude for joining us. Until next time, it's good night. God bless. Pula.